The modern left and its culture of death is best represented by the villain in Marvel's universe, Thanos. Thanos is this benevolent, all-powerful character who believes that he must enact his will upon the universe. Now, this isn't about domination. This isn't about an ideal that he's fighting for or even supremacy. What he fights for is equality. He believes that resources have been maxed out and that depopulation is the only way to reduce universal suffering. In this, he conducts a fascist, totalitarian, tyrannical mission to gain powers to benevolently create this utopia and depopulate half the universe with the snap of his finger, mind you. The policy that's best extrapolated from this culture of death happens to be, you guessed it, abortion. In the streets, these people who are dubbed pro-choice don't celebrate a choice between option A, B, and C. Instead, their posters, their rhetoric, and their attempt to trigger the right celebrates dead children. Planned Parenthood is a non-profit and a political action committee that sells baby parts. When sleuthing journalists on the right uncover the nefarious acts of abortionists from Gosnell to the acts of Planned Parenthood in selling baby parts, they're silenced by the judicial arm. Having an abortion is a deeply personal and spiritual choice, regardless of your faith or lack thereof. Many women report suffering post-traumatic stress syndrome afterwards. We ought to take very seriously the consideration that we are in the minority of countries that allow late abortions. This nonchalant attitude towards ending a life form's life while celebrating and arguing for personhood rights for animals has to lead to the degradation of culture, the degradation of humanity. We lose ourselves in this riddle and this rhyme that makes no sense. Now consider GMOs, pesticides, and other food technologies. This was something that was championed by liberals and scientists, that we could feed the world through technology, and we have. In fact, America exports food. We're a food exporter. And now, the modern left believes that these same tools, these same technologies, these biohacks, are now harmful and seek to outlaw them. Well, what that would do is that would kill millions across this planet. Maybe there's a more sensible solution. Maybe first world countries don't need GMOs, but third world countries do. Maybe there needs to be a baseline of life and survival that is celebrated, and technology can bring us there until we can perfect our food. But there is some nuance found in the left and their culture of death. Consider global warming, turned climate change, and the policy that they seek to enact with carbon taxes. With carbon taxes, you're taxed for how much you consume. But here's the trick. You can actually buy offsets. So if you're one of these multi-millionaires or multi-billionaires flying around in a jet all across the world, you can pay for offsets. But if you're the black mother in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania and the winters go below freezing, paying for that extra carbon that you're using to heat your home as a single mother, you may not be able to afford that. It could come with an additional penalty, maybe even jail time. The carbon tax seeks to hurt the most vulnerable and the lowest on the socioeconomic scale among us. And that is evil. That will breed a culture of death. And on the extremes, I want you to consider what happens when the left's policies run amok or are actualized, as some would argue. Look at China's one-child policy. It has built a culture about commodity and less about life, and less about humanity, less about meaning, more about assets. China's one-child policy has also led to the victimization of female fetuses and female babies. Fewer families want a female baby when they can only have one child. They seek to have a male. China has now built a culture that is built on power, masculinity, and commodities and assets. It's less about humanity, the beauty in life, and true equality found through the treatment of individuals. Consider that over 100 years, communists killed 100 million people. Wasn't this the actualization of people who seek utopia through policies that are built more around death than life? Remember, Thanos wasn't your traditional villain. Thanos was seeking to solve a universal problem, suffering through the scarcity of resources, and instead of making the pie larger or finding out how he could use technology to better manage those resources, he instead chose to eliminate half the population. There is a culture of death with these utopists, and they are all on the left.